You're listening to the Snob OS podcast, the podcast for Apple snobs. Yo, this is Terrance Gaines, aka Brother Tech.
And this is Nica Montford, aka Tech Savvy Diva.
And welcome back to another episode of the Snob OS Show, the show for Apple snobs, where we talk all things Apple and then some. We are back with another episode. This is episode 351 of the Snob OS Show. This week we're talking about Apple bringing back the MacBook, ? Apple is bringing age verification to certain users. Apple is fined again for not having a wall charger. Anthropic dialing back AI safety measures. Teching while black. We got another one to round out the Black History Month. And Google apologizes for the uncensored N-word news alert. Finally, with the hookup, I'm going to talk about this deal that I found. I just about bought it. I think I'm going to go ahead and do it. I think you need to as well. So that is what's going to be on the show. As per usual, we want to thank all our listeners who've been listening thus far. If you want to support financially, please go to patreon.com/snobOScast. Drop us a little change. We'll be greatly appreciative. And in return, we'll give you some exclusive content you will not find on this show. So we're going to get right into it. We always start with the lowdown. And like I mentioned at the top, is Apple bringing back the MacBook? These are the rumors. We normally don't do rumor mills, but I thought this was interesting enough because Apple is bringing back their MacBook. So right now they have the MacBook Pro, they have the MacBook Air. They do not have what we call, or what we have historically called, a entry-level MacBook. Apple has done it back in the past. They've brought it on, brought it off. Now, if the rumors are true, Apple is bringing back this new or old MacBook that includes a 13-inch screen. It's not powering, according to the rumors, which is strange, but I want to get your take on this. Apple is not putting an M chip in this entry-level MacBook. Instead, again, if the rumors are true, they are putting a iPhone-ish A18 Pro chip, which is, again, probably fast enough for you to get on the web, probably fast enough for you to do a lot of cloud stuff, anything having to do with the cloud. It'll probably run some programs like Final Cut, but it's not going to have that M1 chip. So we got to figure out if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Some of the colors is going to come in blue, pink, yellow, and silver colors. And probably the reason why they are not going to put an M1 chip in here, because they're trying to keep the price down. According to these rumors, it's going to be a sub $700 entry-level price tag for this new MacBook. So just wanted to get your take on this new MacBook. If the rumors are true, what do you think about this not having an M1 chip, but having a sub $700 price tag?
I think they're going after a specific market. I think somewhere in my Apple closet, I have one of the old MacBooks from back in the day that actually still boots up and work, which is insane. But I think it's smart because I think, Apple is reading the tea leaves and people aren't spending as much money on tech. They're being very cautious with what they spend and with what they buy. And we're coming up on graduation season. And whether that be from elementary to middle, or middle to high, or even, I think it might be a little too slow for college, but depending on what the major is, you might be able to get away with it. And I think they're seeing that these laptops are lasting a lot longer than they used to. And people aren't going out and buying new ones unless they were already in the market for an upgrade. And this is like the perfect entry-level, low-cost Mac that someone can get and still get a decent machine. You still get to be in the Apple Club, but it's reasonably priced. So I think it's smart. I think they're trying to make sure they have all of their market share covered so that, they have an entry point for everybody who is willing to spend some money on some hardware.
Yeah, I wonder if the base level model will have a $700 entry level price tag, and maybe like for an extra $100 or two, they'll put like an M3 or M2 chip to mimic the 14-inch iPad Air that's currently out. I think that's that midnight blue color. I
Hmm.
think that one has an I want to say an M3 chip, but I'm not sure. But all that to say, I have a graduating senior that's going off to college. According to her major, she won't really need a high powered PC because her major, I think, is heavy architecture based, and I think
She could
the
probably use like a lot
popular
of cloud based tools
right,
to
but
build, right?
well, once she gets into the major, if she lasts that long, look, I'm gonna keep it 100, right? It's going to take her a year and a half, maybe 2 years to officially be in her major, air
Mhm.
quotes, where she'll need a more high powered computer. Until then, freshman and sophomore year, she currently has a hand me down Intel MacBook Air from my wife, a $900 MacBook that will last her at least 2 years.
And then
I
that could be a hand me down for your
And then
youngest.
that could be a hand me down for another kid. I would be in if the rumors are true. Again, I would have to see a little bit more features,
Mhm.
specifically like the USB ports. Are there going to be one? Is there going to be two? Is there going to be three? Because USB-C ports are important now. The screen display, is it going to be a regular old LCD? Is it going to have OLED? What kind of screen? I'm assuming it's going to have a basic um, LCD display. But if it's decent at seven, eight, $900, I would definitely pick this up and give it to a high school, or in my case, a freshman in college, and be like, here, do what you need to do. And then we can revisit this conversation in 2.5 years when you need a more beefier computer.
And do you think this is going to be one of the things that is being announced? What is it on the 4th? For it's not an Apple event. They're calling it an Apple experience and it's being held in New York on what is it, the 4th, I think. Do you think this is what they're going to be one of the things they're going to be dropping at this?
I would assume so. You said in New York,
Mhm.
Apple Experience in New York. I'm gonna look this up. Apple announces special event. I missed this, so this is a tangent. Apple announced, or last week actually announced a special event, special Apple Experience in New York, London, and Shanghai, taking place on March 4th, 2026 at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It
And
says
there's no streaming information. This didn't go through like the typical Apple, they do the little video that says, "Ooh, what is this about?" You try and have to figure it out. This was like
mhm.
a standard like announcement that went out to like media outlets. And there's like I said, there's no streaming information or watch here or time or anything. It's just like an experience, not an event.
Yeah, it says Apple invited select members of the media. And they're specifically, like Nika said, they're using the word experience rather than event, which, like people said, won't be streamed, which is weird. I'm
Yeah.
like, how is this? Is this in between? Well, I take that back. It's not that weird because back in my blogger days, we had events like this to where it wasn't streamed, probably because streaming wasn't all popping like that back in the day. But it would be like they would invite all the bloggers. Now they would invite social media
Influencers.
influencers, right, to these events. And they would give them goodie bags, give them some prizes, give them some nice event or a nice
Swag.
token. Yeah, swag bag, right? And then they would let the social media people do all the reporting and do all the sharing.
Video and pictures and
Right.
all that
So
stuff.
so you could probably imagine a Marcus Brownlee, all those high-end Apple YouTubers, iJustine,
Yeah.
all them people to be there, and they'll probably do the work of Apple. and put this on YouTube,
Yeah.
put it on social media, and we'll probably get the event feel from
From
the
them.
select media that is invited versus Apple actually streaming this thing. So, long story short, most likely this will be the device. Maybe I'm rooting against it in my predictions, but maybe that home pod, home
Home.
HomePad. Maybe they'll announce that as well, but we shall see. But all the way back to the beginning of the story, I'm definitely in the market for this because we got to start shopping for something for the kiddo to use for a good piece of their college experience. All right, next up on the list, Apple is bringing age verification to iOS 26.4, but only for UK users. The latest iOS 26.4 beta prompts users to verify that they are over 18 following installation. As shown in screenshots posted by Reddit, Apple says users who don't confirm their age, quote, will not be able to download and purchase apps or make in-app purchases. So they're not prohibiting them from using the phone, but if you want to download apps, if you want to make in-app purchases, you won't be able to do that on an iPhone. So, what do you think the impact of Apple rolling this out in the UK will potentially, if at all, have on US users with this whole age verification argument that's going on, right now?
So, what do you have to do for this? That's the
Probably got to
question.
scan your according to the screenshot,
Mhm.
confirm you are 18 to update your restrictions. My guess is you will have to scan your driver's license front and back.
Mhm.
For instance, um, I was doing something on my daughter's phone, and she had to go through this process of scanning the front and back of her driver's
Mhm.
license, and then they had her do some motions, like she had to
Like turn
look
her
to the left,
head and up and
look to the
down.
right, and
Yeah.
smile or something like that. I was kind of half paying attention to what she's doing. My assumption is it'll be something like that. You get the phone, you get to that screen, you scan your driver's license front and back. They make you do a couple face motions or head motions to verify your face, and then you go on. I think the issue with this is there are my kids
Mhm.
were US users, of course, but I got my kids iPhones at like 13 or 14, I think, which is well below the 18-year-old age.
Right.
I'm wondering if similar like the GDPR, right? We always
Mhm.
got to click cookies now and
Mhm.
select the cookies. That's because of the UK. The UK was like, no, we need to protect our users from data. They need to be able to, you have to tell end users what you're doing with their data when they come on your website. That eventually came over to the United States. Now we're clicking cookies and I got to accept every new website we go to, which is an annoyance, but that
But
originated
it
in the
helps.
UK.
So
Uh,
I'm
Go ahead.
no, so I'm interested to see, as Americans, we like our convenience. Again, like you said, your kids got iPhones at what, 12, 13.
Mhm.
Some of the kids are getting iPhones as
Sure
young
are.
as 6 or
Sure,
7
yeah,
or
sure are.
8. And
My 9-year-old son has friends with iPhones.
yeah. And so it's one of those things where if one, does the parent have to do the age verification? But I don't that's the thing. I'm trying to figure out how this works. Like, are if you don't have the age verification on the phone because it's a
Mhm,
phone for a child,
mhm.
do the parents have to, I don't know how the parental controls work because I ain't got kids, so I don't know. Like, if the kid wants to download an app to their phone, like, does it have to go to the parent and then the parent say, yes, you can put this app on this phone? Or does the parent have to go through, if the parent says, okay, I don't want to have to, do this whole, I have to do this download for my kid every time they want to download a game or whatever. And so the parent says, you know what, I'm just going to put my ID on it because I pay the bill technically. So technically it's my phone. Like, is that if can the parent do the age verification? on the kid's phone? Is that how you bypass it? Or
Well, I don't. So according to this screenshot, um, and I may have to share the screenshot. According to the screenshot, it says confirm you are 18 and over to update your restrictions. To change these restrictions, the UK requires you to confirm you are an adult. So the way that reads, if you ain't 18, you cannot use an iPhone. Now, like you're mentioning, the way around it is maybe it's the parent's phone. They sign in with their Apple ID, they do their verification, and then hand the phone to the kid,
Mhm.
which again, Apple's like, hey,
That's your
hands
business.
washed, do what you want to do. If something happened,
That's
we
on you.
verified that an adult set this phone up. So we
Right.
assume that same adult is going to be in charge of this phone. If it ain't, that's your business. But the way I'm understanding this is Apple is intending for UK users, I'm assuming according to UK's request,
With that
people under
Visual Markets
18,
Act, probably.
yeah, right. People under 18, that's how old you got to be to use a phone.
Or that's how old you gotta be to download an app, and the
Making in-app
phone is
purchases.
basically all
Yeah.
apps.
Right, exactly, right? You can't do too much. Well, I mean,
You
I
can
guess
make
you
a
can
phone
browse the
call,
web.
you could
You can browse,
text.
yeah, you can. I mean, most, if you're smart, most, if you have a website, it's mobile friendly. So
Right.
you could probably get away to using TikTok on the web. You could probably get away with using
But little
Facebook
kids
on the
not gonna wanna
web.
do that. They're gonna wanna go to the YouTube app and
And then,
watch their videos,
hey,
and
look,
they're gonna get tired. Like I said, parents, especially I don't know how UK parents are, but American parents are like, I don't wanna have to go back and forth with them every single time they wanna download
unfortunately,
something. So this is going to be inconvenience. That's why I think this is probably going to stay over in
hmm
the UK as long as it possibly can. And what's going to happen is, this whole we got to protect our children, stuff people are going through. If this does come to the US and it does get on the phones, then American parents are going to start to rebel. Like, why do I have to do this? This doesn't
right.
make sense. They're going to be angry, but no, you asked for it. So that's why I think it's one of those things where it's it sounds good to do this to protect the kids, but at the same time, like parents is like it's going to be an inconvenience I if my kid can't download an app, or if I have to have these parental controls where they have to request for me to approve for them to download an app. I don't know how if that's how it works or not, but I would assume like how you mentioned before on YouTube, like if your son wants to watch a certain channel, it has to go to you for approval, and
hmm
then you click the approval, and then it's
hmm
on his profile. I'm
hmm
assuming that's how it is on iPhone for parental controls. Like I said, I don't know.
Maybe not. Maybe Apple is like, look, you got to be 18 to use this joint. That's it. I don't think they're going to have any other sort of, do this, share this, approve that. They're like, no,
And you
y'all
know what?
wanted it.
That's probably the petty
Y'all
of
got
them.
it.
And that's probably the petty of them for the UK making them have to do this. It's like it's all or nothing. We're not making it easy at all. It's all or nothing. You either gonna not do this and
hmm
not give your kid who is under 18 a phone, or you going to do the workaround and put your own stuff on there to verify it so they can. But either way, it's going to be the onus is going to be on the individual
Which it should
to
be.
to do, which it should be,
Mhm.
because this is, to me, it makes no sense for Apple to have to do the verification, the app itself, if it's not,
That's
because
what I believe.
some apps are made for kids.
Right.
And that's why the whole point of in the app store, you can search for apps based on age range.
Right.
So you should be able to do that, but
And
it
maybe we're
sounds like no.
And maybe I'm reading too much into it, because if I read a little bit further down, it says on Tuesday, Apple announced that it'll start blocking users in Australia, Brazil, and Singapore from downloading apps rated 18 plus unless they verify that they're an adult using, quote, reasonable methods, which I'm assuming is a driver's
A
license or some
driver's
sort
license,
of
I think,
state
yeah.
ID or whatever the case may be. So, according to that passage, they're not doing age verification for the whole device. They're just doing it if you want to download apps that are
That are
rated
18 and above.
18 plus. But
Okay.
this thing in the UK, it just says to change these restrictions, the UK requires you to confirm you are an adult.
Mm.
So Apple's like, look,
Sucks for your
Be
kids in
careful what you wish
the
for.
right. It might not be what you really want. Or you thought you were going to be able to harangue somebody to making it to your specifications. No,
Yeah.
you simply said that you needed age verification and they gave you that. It's not easy.
Mhm.
It's not simple. It's a hassle, but that's what you asked for. They don't have to make it easy for you, right?
Nope, nope. They just gotta comply.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to the last story. Apple is fined again in Brazil over the lack of a wall charger being included in the box. For those who don't remember, Apple was like, look, we're trying to save the planet. The boxes are too big and bulky with these wall outlets. There are wall outlets aplenty that you can buy any and everywhere. So we're just going to let you do that. We're going to remove the wall outlet from the box, make the box smaller, make it more streamlined, and ship it out to end users. Well, Brazil's not really feeling that. They fined them back in 2022. The Brazilian Ministry of Justice ordered that the suspension of iPhone sales in the country over this issue. The move came over 1 year after Apple was fined roughly 2 million for the same practice elsewhere. Looks like Brazil is circling the wagon again, and consumer protection authorities in the Brazilian state of Alagoas have fined Apple roughly $20,000, which is again push come to shove, I could pay that for them, but
Right.
but
20K is nothing to Apple.
right, for selling iPhones without what they described as a quote indispensable item for the regular use of the product. There's a message or a comment from Procon AL, the state's consumer protection watchdog, that states, quote, in our assessment, we found that by shifting to the consumer the burden of having to purchase separately an item that is indispensable for the proper use of the product, the company violates the principles of the objective good faith, transparency, and consumer vulnerability. So, what is your take on Brazil saying that Apple removing the wall outlet from the wall charger from their devices is violating the principles of objective good faith, transparency, and consumer vulnerability?
I can see that. When I first saw the 20K, I was thinking it was gonna be 20K
20
per
million.
amount of units, not just flat 20K. But I get what they're saying because you know, we used to get earpods, we used to
hmm
get charging blocks, we used to get
hmm
cables, all
Used to get
those things. We got used
stickers.
to it.
We don't
Yes,
even get stickers no more.
stickers. Like I actually have an Apple sticker on my garbage can because
hmm
someone kept taking mine because of the way our houses are.
hmm
And so I had to put an Apple sticker. The neighbor, my last neighbor, sign agent, who took my other trash can, and I had to go through the whole process of going through the county and getting
hmm
another one. They tried to take it again. And I
hmm
was like, and I saw them like moving over, and I was like, I was running downstairs. That's mine. Don't take it. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. He was
No,
like,
he wasn't sorry. He knew what he was doing. He just got
it was
caught.
like they just throw these trash bins anywhere and they don't like put them back in front of your house. And like even the trash guy, he was like, oh, I think that's hers. And I was like, yes. He saw me trying to like run outside and run down the driveway to do it. But all that to say is you used to get all these things in the packaging and everybody was used to it. And I
hmm
think I get where Apple was coming from when they said we're gonna pull this one, they pulled a bunch of things out, but when it got down to cable, phone, and charging block, it's like these three things is the bare minimum you got to have in the box. And they took the other bare minimum, what they took the charging block, because I think the whole idea was we all have so many different charging blocks. We don't need to put in any more. Where it becomes an issue is
hmm
when, say, it's a new person buying an iPhone. This is their first iPhone. They don't have no iPhone charging blocks.
hmm
And then you
hmm
don't want people to buy the aftermarket ones because they could mess up your phone
hmm hmm
with the charge, power dissipation and all that, good stuff. So I get it. I get it. But it's one of those things where we've seen, you know, water bottle sizes, chip bags, product
hmm
bags. They give you the same box size, but when you open it, it's like it's only like that many chips in the bag. So it's par for the course for people scaling back what they're putting, what products they're giving. So I get it, but they could have came harder than 20K. Because that's not, this is 20K is not an incentive for Apple to change. It's like, we'll just keep paying 20K every time they come up and it's fine.
I am on the side of Apple with this one. I think those USB-C or Lightning, depending on what device you have, I would assume most people have a phone with USB-C right now.
Mm-hmm.
And most of them have wireless charging. So I can't think of when I plugged my phone in because I'm always using the MagSafe. I'm always using the desktop charger. I'm always using a stand that has the charging built into the back. I agree with you that if you are a first time iPhone user, you will have to, if you don't have family members who have these laying around, you will have to, yes, also purchase a separate charger for argument's sake to actually use the device, right? But at the same time, I think, spending an extra 20 bucks, if we believe that Apple is reducing their carbon footprint in order to save the planet, I'm okay with the trade-off.
I think the thing is, I think Brazil is a really poor country.
Right.
And
Oh,
I
well,
think
yeah.
and I
There
think
you
what
are.
they're
True.
saying is
True.
it's
True.
an undue burden and
True.
expense for them to have
True.
to pay
True.
something extra for
Right.
something that should be included
True.
for it to be able to be used. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that's kind of maybe where they're coming
I can
from.
see that. I can see that. Yep. I can understand that.
Because if you're charging a company like Apple only $20,000, I mean that shows that I don't think your money is quite up because you should be asking for more.
I read it 2 or 3 or 4 times to make sure. I'm like, $20,000? I guess it is.
Because I was like, that has to be like per a certain amount of units, right?
Right. And I think like Australia, I think, is one of those countries to where they made Apple put or ship with a separate charger block. I don't know. Maybe that's what Brazil's doing, but yeah, that makes sense. Maybe the average iPhone buyer user in Brazil does not have the same amount of disposable income as me. That can blink and spend $20 on a USB wall outlet. So
Right.
yeah, that makes sense from Brazil's standpoint. They're like, look, man, the
We
thing's
ain't got
already
it.
cost right. The thing's already cost an arm and a leg, for us. We can't afford nothing else. So give us what we need in the box to get started. So
Yeah.
I can see both sides of that story. All right. That is going to do it for the lowdown. We're going to move into second string where we talk tech in general. Your boys, Anthropic, it looks like they say, according to Anthropic, they are dialing back AI safety measures. And the reason that they said, which I think is a lame excuse in the first place, the company said Tuesday that it is softening its core safety policy to stay competitive with other AI labs. Anthropic previously paused development of, for those who don't know, Anthropic is the maker of the Claude AI chatbot, which is comparable to ChatGPT, which is comparable to Gemini, Copilot, so on and so forth. Anthropic previously paused the development of work on this model if it could be classified as dangerous. But here's the but. Said it would end that practice if a comparable or superior model was released by a competitor. Basically saying to them, well, we'll play it safe. But if Gemini, Copilot, ChatGPT, Gronk, they release something comparable, all bets are off. We're going to drop our security measures, yada, yada, yada. Now, that's what they say. And I'm going to keep reading on this, right?
Okay.
The company has until Friday to relax its usage policies. If Anthropic doesn't, which is I think the real reason, it could lose its Pentagon contract or face other consequences. Defense Secretary, I'm not even going to say that dude's name, told Anthropic chief executive Dario Amodei on Tuesday. So Anthropic is telling us that we're going to try to play it safe. But if some other competitor comes out with something, we may roll back our safety precautions to stay competitive, quote, quote,
Mm-hmm.
quote. In reality, they are trying to get and or keep some defense contracts. And the government, this current administration, is like, if you're trying to keep these government contracts, you need to ease your security policies so we can do whatever
What
we
we
want
need
to
to do.
do.
We need access to this data. We
Right,
need to be able to do some stuff on the side, some covert
right,
apps. We
right,
need to be able to get in there and do our illegal government things. And,
right.
it's really, it's so disheartening
Mm-hmm,
because I've said on this show many times that I'm a Claude user. I use
mm-hmm,
Claude Code. It's my go to chatbot. It's what I
mm-hmm,
use literally every day.
mm-hmm,
And one of the reasons why I chose Anthropic, I went and did like all of my evaluations on the other products. But the thing that sold me on Anthropic was that they used ethical AI. It was in
mm-hmm.
their core principles
Right.
of how they work and how they build and how they create. And I was like, you know what?
That's the tipping
That's
point.
what I'm looking for
Uh-huh.
because I know OpenAI, they over there just it's just free and loose over there. They're just running with whatever it is. Uh Gemini over there with Google, I was like, Google be a little sus sometimes, so I don't know how much I
Mm-hmm.
trust them. But
Mm-hmm.
because their core values included ethical AI, ethical use of data, ethical use of models. I was like, this is what I can get down with because working in this space myself, I know the pitfalls that you can fall into. And the fact that this was one of their top line items, that's what sold me. And to see them now saying that they're rolling it back because of money, it really goes against what they said that they were for when they even first came out. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
they're going back on their own principles. And for me, that's really disheartening and it's really upsetting because that's what sold me on their product in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Um, Eventually, not directly, but indirectly, I think Apple's having the same issue. The reason why they are stumbling so much on AI because their whole thing was we want to keep your data safe.
Mhm.
We want to keep your data private. We're not going to sell your data. We're not going to train our models on your data. It's your data. You've been using our devices for all these years. We're going to build something that you can take advantage of that we're not going to, what's the word? Take advantage of,
Mhm.
right? As a result, they had a tough time getting it out the door.
And
So
even when
now,
they got it out the door, it was
right.
not great.
So now even Apple's kind of like, all right, fine. We're not going to open the whole thing up, but we're going to invite in, Google/Gemini to kind of help us out. We'll have to see
Mhm.
if Apple does concede some of their safety protocols, some of their safety measures, some of their data security to accommodate Google and Gemini. They say everything's going to stay the same, but we're talking about a story right now
Yeah.
to where they was like from the jump, Anthropic is like ethical, 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 yada, yada, yada. It's going to stay safe. Fast forward a couple years, OpenAI is blown up. Gemini has blown up. Now Anthropic is like, hey man, don't you can't take our word for it. So I'm
Our
not
bad. We
surprised.
were just
Yeah,
joking.
I'm not surprised that this is happening. And I won't be surprised if other companies follow suit because, again, AI is everywhere and these companies want AI in everything. Damn the cost.
And the thing is, if this is what they're telling us, imagine what they're doing behind the scenes that they aren't telling us. And I
Mm-hmm.
think this is really setting the stage for what we know as privacy is being chipped away
Mm-hmm.
in front of our faces. And I won't even say slowly, it's blatant and it's directly, in our faces on what they're doing. And they're slowly chipping away at it. Not slowly, but they're chipping away at it in chunks. And what we know as privacy and our expectation of privacy. I mean, I don't think we're going to have any. Honestly, I think it's going to get to the point where it's going to be like it is in, these countries that have dictators, where it's like, nope, we get access to see all your things. Yes, you paid for this with your money, but we, as the government, we should be able to see it because we want to.
Right. And I think, to be honest, if I'm being honest, I think these companies are trying to get away with as much as they can get away with under this current administration
Mm.
before, you
Adults get
know,
back in the building.
yeah, essentially, you're right. Let heaven for not say heaven forbid. Let's, fast forward. Dang, it's only been a year. God
It's
dang.
only been a year.
Fast forward 3 years and another administration is in office and they are more security, privacy, safety oriented.
Mm.
You know, it's hard to put that toothpaste back in the tube once we've been using the open, free, not free, open and, wild,
Visible.
wild west
Yeah.
of AI, and then have a government say, hey, man, stop that.
Rein it back in.
We American citizens are not with that. So I think these companies know that. So they're like, hey, man, let's just,
Let's
uh,
just get away. We're gonna go in and rob them blind.
right.
We're gonna take everything that we can, because the other side of that is all this stuff that they're doing, that they're telling us about. Again, we don't know some of the other things that are going on behind the scenes. And even when a new administration comes in, the things that they are going to have to fix and roll back, they're going to have to prioritize it. And that's going
Mhm.
to be hard, because everything that they've done is so bad on so many different levels, and it impacts so many things. Like they're probably going to have to create a whole new department
Mhm.
to just go in and like try and fix and put everything back so the government can still keep going, but there's
Mhm.
somebody working parallel the full 4 years after this to try and put things back normal, or figure out if they can or how to. So it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, I'm gonna read this quote here, and it's just kind of sad that these companies are. This is the stance. Quote: The policy environment has shifted towards prioritizing AI competitiveness and economic growth, while safety-oriented discussions have yet to gain meaningful traction at the federal level. The company wrote. We remain convinced that effective government engagement on AI safety is both necessary and achievable, and we aim to continue advancing a conversation grounded in evidence, national security interests, and economic competitiveness and public trust. But this is proving to be a long-term project, not something that is happening organically as AI becomes more capable or crosses certain thresholds. Basically, what they're saying is there's too much money out there to be made to be worrying about safety. We ain't about to wait on the government to get their shit together to figure out how they're going to regulate it. We just
We got to
balls
get
to the
this
wall.
money. You got you got money just laying on the table, and
Mhm.
nobody's watching it. And I can take it,
Mhm.
and nobody's
We
going to do
gonna get
anything
it.
to me. You think I'm not going to take it because everybody else is?
But because everybody else is, and
Everybody else is.
that's why I titled this one, um, "Anthropic to dial back AI safety measures if other companies do it first."
Yeah, that's the only way.
Sad,
So
but
disappointing.
I was talking to my wife this morning about all AI everywhere, and she's trying to get me, "Hey, man, you better get on the train before you get left behind." And I'm trying so hard
To fight
to
it,
I'm trying to fight the good fight, man, but everybody
it's
is like,
coming for you.
peace, dog. I mean, they are out of here. And I'm trying so hard to be like, wait, why don't
Mm-mm,
we let's
mm-mm.
everybody's like, hey man,
We're
get
not
on the
listening to
train.
that.
Get on the train. So
Yeah.
oh well. All right. So that is gonna do it for the for I'm sorry, for second string. We're gonna move into for the culture, and Nica has her final installment for Teching While Black.
Right. So, as we close out Black History Month, and we didn't have a show last week, we're going to do a twofer this
Okay.
week. So, we are going to talk about Calcea Johnson and Nakia Jackson. They are American mathematicians known for groundbreaking work on the Pythagorean theorem. Rather than relying on Pythagorean theorem itself, both these young ladies use trigonomic concepts like
Trigonometric.
sine and
Trigonometric.
trigonometric concepts like sine and cosine to develop their proof. And this was, I want to say, they did this while they were in high school, right?
Oh wow.
So, after presenting their work at a high school math contest,
Hmm.
and after it got so much attention, it drew the attention of the American Mathematical Society, their annual conference, and they presented their their proof um, to this community, and it drew so much acclaim and so much national attention because, again, these young ladies proved a theorem that has existed for thousands of years. I think at this point, the Pythagorean theorem goes way back to Greek times, where they use stars for navigation, all those types of things. And they use trigonometry to come up with their proof for this. So it's one of those things where it's to do this in high school, and they did it for a high school competition for it to go on to become something that the American Mathematical Society they presented it for, and they approved it. It's huge. So Calcea is currently studying environmental engineering at LSU, and she aims to apply her degree towards sustainability and clean energy work that benefits communities and the planet. And Nica is also a college student at Xavier University of Louisiana, where she's pursuing a doctorate of pharmacy. So it's one of those things where, these young ladies, teenagers out here, changing the mathematical world, and, going on to pursue their other exploits that are surprisingly outside of the mathematical sphere. So, congrats to them, and, to them for doing this while they're in high school. And of course, as they continue their education and go on and do
Yeah.
bigger and better things.
Yeah, and you said one of them is getting their doctorate in pharmacy, and the other one is learning about sustainability. I mean, those have math in them, but
Yeah.
that ain't math. That ain't a
Mm-mm.
major
They're
in
not math majors.
mathematics, right?
Mm-mm.
Right, which makes it equally as special because they just doing this because they can. They got the mental capacity to do it, and look at where it's taking them.
Right. And I think, what was it, Nakia? She said, I think I included the article. She said specifically that, what she said, she said she plans to make a positive impact on the community by working to help others through healthcare. This is the young lady who is getting the PhD and the doctor of pharmacy. She says she's working to help others through healthcare, seeing her mathematical achievement as just one chapter in
Hmm.
a broader professional society. So a professional journey. So that's really, it's like, this is kind of like their side gig, that they did something cool to do in high school. And there's something cool to do in high school, has changed
Hmm.
the way mathematical a long time mathematical theorem has even been thought of. So
Yeah, but
yay to them.
but let others tell it. DEI is officially dead, huh?
Yep. Mm.
All right, all right. Well, that's not it for the culture. We've got this other thing. Speaking of Google, speaking of Gemini, so I'm pretty sure we've all heard of the BAFTA awards incident recently, to
Hmm.
where both Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan was
And
coming
Hannah
up
Belcher.
and help. Yeah, they were up to present an award, and there was a guy named Alan Cumming who
No,
has
John
uh,
Davidson. I
John.
think
Is that his name? John. Oh, yes, yes,
I
yeah,
think the
yeah.
guy's name is John
Yeah,
Davidson.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes. He John Davison has Tourette's, and he was invited to the BAFTAs because he is getting an award, or is in the running for an award based on a documentary based
Hmm.
on his Tourette's.
Hmm.
So he was in the audience, and according to, I didn't watch it, but according to the BAFTAs, he was um you could tell his Tourette's
They
was in
called him
effect.
ticks.
Called
His
Yeah,
ticks were on display.
yeah, and his ticks are on display, and they are of the offensive nature. So lo and behold, Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan, who are the stars of Sinners,
Hmm.
were up to give an award, and you can hear the John Davison yell out the N word and yell out a couple things, right?
The hard R.
The hard R, right? Um, Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan remain professional. They blinked, but they continued on with their presentation. The BAFTA awards didn't cut out that section. Here's the pieces. I'm not even concerned about the Tourette's. It is what it is. I don't know about Tourette's. I'm assuming it's an issue, a serious issue, right?
So he has it's a part of the Tourette's. It's
Right.
another name.
He's on the spectrum.
No, it's the Tourette's, and then there's like what he has
Hmm.
is like a 10% symptom of
Hmm.
Tourette's that only 10% of the people get. And
Right.
that's what causes you to yell out,
Offensive, taboo stuff.
yeah,
So, well, the offensive taboo stuff was yelled out. BAFTA Awards was on, I think, a 2 hour
2 hour
delay.
delay.
So, number one,
Mm,
they had 2 hours to figure out how to cut that offensive N-word hard R message speech out of the BAFTA Awards. They did not.
mm-mm.
1A, somebody else throughout the course of the event yelled Free Palestine at
No,
the
the guy
BAFTA
who got an
Award.
award, it
Right.
was a part of his speech.
He said Free Palestine.
Uh,
They cut that smooth out of there.
yep.
We ain't see none of that, but let this other stuff with the Tourette's slide, right? That's number
Mm.
one. Number two, BAFTA, this half-ass apology, really didn't apologize to Michael B. Jordan, Delroy Lindo. They was kind of like, oh, you got to understand, you
You shouldn't have
know,
to apologize for a disability.
yeah. Come on now. That was disrespectful regardless. That's number
Right.
two. Number three, which is a story I'm getting into, Google, in their reporting of the story, puts out a news alert according to what the story in the Hollywood Reporter. So basically, what happens is, let me see if I can surmise this.
Okay.
The BAFTA award, the event happens, the whole mishap thing happens. The Hollywood Reporter writes a story about it,
And everybody's talking about it.
and everybody's talking about it. In the Google News alert, and I quote, a news alert that's at the top, I'm pretty sure ran by automation or AI or whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
Quote, how the Tourette's fallout unfolded at the BAFTA Film Awards, the Hollywood Reporter, and this is where the Google alerts dash, see more on niggers. Let it fly. We complain, social media,
Everybody's letting it fly.
everybody's complaining. And then Google finally comes up and says, our bad. And I'm going to see if I can find their quote. A spokesperson for the tech brand issued an apology, which was shared by Deadline. Quote, we're very sorry for this mistake. We removed the offensive notification and are working to prevent this from happening again.
Hmm.
And that was it. So it seems like all other precautions, and this is my issue,
Mm.
all other precautions, all other considerations were taken to make the BAFTA events, run smoothly, with the exception of this
Causing harm.
gentleman, right? Yeah, with the exception of this gentleman shouting out nigger to two black men, Michael B. Jordan and Delroy Lindo. And then Google just
Doing it again.
making it worse, right?
Words.
During Black History Month, mind
Black
you.
History Month. And the
So,
thing is, Sinners won for first time a black person won for original
mhm,
screenplay. That was Ryan Coogler. Wami Mosaku, she won for best supporting actor. And for me, this was a failure from top to bottom because Hannah Belcher came out and said he said the N word to her,
mm,
but it wasn't on stage. And there
mhm,
was a third N word incident to
mhm,
another black person. So my
mm,
thing is, first on the disability side, if it is an involuntary tick,
mhm.
wouldn't you just say it to anybody, regardless of what they look like? So he should
I
just
don't
been
know.
saying it to everybody.
I don't know.
I don't know how it works.
I'm not about to try to dissect this dude's disability. That
Right.
ain't my thing. My thing is how the BAFTA and Google responded to it. Both of them had time to to, I don't want to say smooth this over,
But they had
but
time to reduce the harm
right,
because
right.
he said he had a tick and he said the F word
Mhm,
to a gay man on stage.
mhm,
So all of his, and they were saying that there were other ticks that he said during this show, and
mhm,
all of them got removed except for this one. And it wasn't like this one was small. This
mhm.
one was huge.
Right.
And you could go through and take out Free Palestine. You could
Mhm,
take out a gay slur. You could
mhm,
take out the other things that he was saying to people.
mhm,
And the thing is, the Warner Brothers, after it aired, Warner
mhm,
Brothers was like, why did this happen? They were like, oh, we're gonna take it out. But they didn't. And they
mm.
had microphones in front of this. They had a microphone near where this guy was sitting.
Again, which is I was
And
saying
he
on
was
our
sitting 40 rows back. It was like he was up front. Why? It is, to me, it feels like it was set up for them to capture one of his
yes,
ticks so that they
yes,
could exploit it, so they could, get, people talking about the
I
BAFTAs. Because
guess,
who the
I
hell is
don't
talking
know.
about the BAFTAs?
Right.
Or to like help, his movie. And I feel bad for the guy because it feels to me
Mhm,
that Delroy Lindo and Michael B. Jordan and this guy, they were
mhm.
used for publicity's sake. His
Or at
disability was used, in a way that it didn't have to. Of course, it was harm to the people in the room,
right,
but the whole world didn't have to see this. We've been talking about
right,
this for several days.
right. And my thing is, it's like they didn't the BAFTAs,
They ain't say nothing.
they took this, Davison, his disability under consideration. But they didn't bother to do that with anybody else. They
Mhm.
could have had old boy in the back of the daggone BAFTAs,
But they had him 40
away
rows
from
back.
no that I would have made sure there is no way possible we can hear this dude's voice on any of these cameras or any of these microphones. They could have done
Situate
that.
him away from microphones.
They
Just
could
do
have done
that
that.
or not
They
put one in front of him. Like I said, it
or
feels like they set him up
right,
to be exploited
right.
to get views or whatever the case may be. And the fact that
Yeah,
it took them meaning BAFTAs, all this time to issue a half-ass apology. They
mhm,
still haven't, because I think I saw Deborah Lindo say it would have been nice if somebody from the BAFTAs would have came and said something to us. They didn't
right.
even have the decency to that. And what it says to me is, as long as the harm is coming to Black people, it's
Eh,
excusable
well,
because
we can work around it.
yeah, it's not that big of a deal because seeing all the people who were saying, you know, this was we understand and we have empathy for his disability, and the whole point, of his documentary was to show that these things he can't
Right.
control.
Sure.
And that's a good thing, but it's still, I always say
Not
impact.
at the expense.
Yeah,
Mhm,
intent doesn't negate impact.
mhm.
There was an impact to
Sure,
every Black person
sure,
in that room. And
sure.
simply saying, I can't control this. I am so sorry that what I said offended you or hurt you. That's simple. And people are still hurt. They're still embarrassed,
Mhm.
but you acknowledge the harm that was caused. And if you said anything to that effect, all the disability advocates were, oh, you're ableist, you hate disabled people. And it's like, no, harm was done to him, sure, but
It's
harm
still
was done to
insensitive.
all these Black people.
It's still insensitive
It's still
regardless of who's and
insensitive.
why and how.
It doesn't, again, intent does not negate impact. And
Mhm.
it's just like I said, it seems a little sus to me. And it seems like, they were trying to create a moment. I think
Hope
we'd
it's
be
worth it.
remiss to say the UK has a bunch of other stuff going on with somebody in the royal family going to jail for sex trafficking. And now that's off the table. Nobody's even thinking about that because we're talking about
Mm.
this BAFTA stuff. So, it's
Mm.
like, tinfoil
Mm.
hat on conspiracy, what's really going on? What are you trying to kind of bury?
BAFTAs and Google, they could have did a little bit better because
And
with
at the
both
president, I think the president of BAFTA is somebody who's in the royal family, I think. Like
right.
one
Oh,
of the main
well,
people or something.
there you
But
go.
yeah,
Like you said, tinfoil hat there. But
yeah.
yeah, they could have done better, and
They could have done better.
they
They
just
should have
chose
done
not to.
better. And they still should do better. Even
Right.
after all this time, they still should even though nobody will be like, you know what, it's too late now, still make some sort of effort because it says Black people should just suck it up. And that's what I saw a lot of people say, oh,
Mhm.
boo hoo, the millionaires, they got their little feelings hurt. And it's
Ain't
like,
that
just
crazy?
because you're rich
Ain't
doesn't
that
mean you don't
crazy?
have feelings and you don't get hurt. Like,
Ain't that
what do
crazy?
you mean? It's crazy.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy.
It's
But
crazy.
happy Black History Month, y'all.
Happy Black History Month.
All right, moving on to the hookup. Me and my family just got back from vacation, and I didn't go through a bunch of hard issues, but I made sure that they had all of their devices and all their cables so when they go over there, they can have everything charged up. I've been eyeballing this Anker 3-in-1 travel charger for a while, but it's just so expensive
Mm.
until now. So that is my hookup. This Anker 3-in-1 travel charger, it's like the hockey puck, and it folds out. It has a place to charge your iPhone. In the middle, it has a place to charge your Apple Watch, and on the side, if you have the wireless charging case, AirPods, it can charge the AirPods case. When you want to travel it up, it folds up on itself like a little hockey puck. It comes with a 40-watt wall charger and 5-foot charging cable.
Mm.
Normally, this thing is on sale regular for $90.
Jesus
But right
Christ.
now, if you go to woot.com, we put a link in the show notes. It's on sale while supplies last for a limited time for $39.99,
Half the price.
which is like $50 off. So I'm definitely going to pick one of these up. If you're listening to this in our Patreon, you're a live listener, you got time to grab this.
Slide in and grab one before they're gone.
If you are a regular listener and you listen to this when the show airs on Friday, you may
Good
have
luck.
some time, you may not, but I wanted to put this out there anyway because this is something that I've been looking to pick up. I'm definitely going to pick up one, if not two, and I think you should do the same. So that is my hookup for this week. Nica, if that's all for you, I think that's going to do it for this week's show. So tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me at Tech Savvy Diva everywhere.
And you can find me all over the internet at Brother Tech. That's BrothaTech to connect, comment, share, support with the show. Please go to snoboscast.com. You can get all the details there. And until next week, we are out. Peace.
Bye, everybody.